Before whales became giants of the open ocean, they walked on land. Their ancestors were not fish, and they did not begin their story in the sea. They were small mammals living near rivers and shorelines, slowly adapting to a world of shallow water, tidal hunting, and changing environments. Over millions of years, their legs weakened, their tails strengthened, and their bodies transformed into something extraordinary. This is one of evolution's most astonishing stories, the journey of how a land mammal became a whale. Around 50 million years ago, one of the earliest known whale ancestors appeared, Pachycetus. At first glance, it did not look like a whale at all. It looked more like a slender wolf-like mammal living near rivers and coastal environments. But inside its skull and ear region were clues linking it to whales. Pachycetus still walked fully on land, yet it was already part of the evolutionary path that would one day lead to the ocean. The story of whales did not begin underwater. It began with footsteps on land. A few million years later came Ambulocetus, often called the walking whale. Unlike Pachycetus, this ancestor was far more comfortable in the water. Its body was heavier, its limbs were stronger for paddling, and its movement likely resembled that of an aquatic ambush hunter. On land, it could still move, but in water, it had a growing advantage. Ambulocetus was a true transitional form, an animal living between two worlds. It had not yet become a whale of the sea, but it was already leaving dry land behind. Then came Rhodocetus, an ancestor that had moved even farther into marine life. Its body became more streamlined, its hind limbs reduced, and its tail played a greater role in swimming. Rhodocetus could still come onto land, but the sea was becoming its primary home. This was a major turning point. The skeletal changes now clearly showed a body being reshaped for life in water. Evolution was no longer experimenting with a semi-aquatic mammal. It was building an early whale, one increasingly designed for the ocean. By about 40 million years ago, whales had fully entered the ocean. Basilosaurus was long, serpentine, and unmistakably aquatic. Dorodon, smaller and more compact, lived in the same ancient seas and looked even closer to later whales. These animals could no longer walk on land. Their bodies were now built entirely for marine life. Tiny hind limbs remained, but only as evolutionary leftovers. This was the moment whales truly became ocean animals, powerful swimmers, marine hunters, and undeniable rulers of the prehistoric sea. As whale evolution continued, two great branches emerged. One line gave rise to toothed whales, hunters that would eventually include dolphins, sperm whales, and orcas. The other led to baleen whales, giants that would feed by filtering enormous amounts of water. This split transformed whale evolution forever. Now whales were not just adapting to the ocean, they were diversifying within it. Different hunting methods, feeding systems, and body designs allowed them to occupy many ecological roles. The ocean was no longer just their habitat. It had become their kingdom. Over millions of years, whales perfected life in the sea. Toothed whales evolved echolocation, using sound to navigate and hunt in dark waters. Baleen whales refined filter feeding, allowing them to consume vast quantities of small prey. Their bodies became more efficient, their social behaviors more advanced, and their migrations more extraordinary. Some became deep divers. Others became long-distance travelers across entire oceans. Whale evolution was no longer about survival alone. It was about specialization, intelligence, and mastery of the marine world. Today, the story of whale evolution reaches one of its most astonishing outcomes: the blue whale. It is not only the largest whale alive, it is the largest animal known to have ever existed on Earth. And yet, its story began with a small land mammal walking beside ancient rivers. That contrast is almost impossible to comprehend. Over 50 million years, evolution transformed a terrestrial creature into a giant of the sea. The blue whale is not just a modern animal. It is the living monument to one of nature's most extraordinary journeys. The evolution of whales is one of the most powerful reminders of how dramatic life on Earth can become. From a small land mammal standing beside ancient water to a fully aquatic giant crossing the modern ocean, every stage tells a story of adaptation, survival, and transformation. Whales did not appear suddenly. They were shaped by millions of years of change, one generation at a time. And hidden inside every whale alive today is the memory of a distant ancestor that once had legs, walked on land, and began the impossible journey to the sea.